have a number of questions that have been previously submitted. So thank you all to everybody who did submit those questions. But hopefully time will permit towards the end of the conversation for us to answer any additional questions that are pressing within the chat. That being said, I want to take a quick moment to also acknowledge our praying mothers, Auntie Fumi Adetayo, Auntie Wura Adamolekun, Auntie Ayo Odunsi, and of course our dear Dr. Teni Oshundeko for all your efforts in making today's event happen, to making today's event possible. Very much appreciated to our dear praying mothers, as well as our praying fathers and the whole praying family network. I also want to give a quick shout out to JnJ and a quick overview of what Jola and Jumoke is all about. So JnJ was established in 2012 as a group of young adults who range from ages 16 to 35. Our fellowship is typically on Saturday mornings. We'll do our a virtual prayer line at 9:30 a.m. For one another, our families, and our academic and professional journeys. So JnJ empowers over 400 plus members from all over the US and abroad to not only seek like bonds with each other and other like-minded individuals, but also to gain perspective from our different networks and individual experiences as young Nigerians. JnJ has hosted and provided events such as Friendsgivings, spring retreats for members aged 22 and up, virtual mixers and workshops, scholarships, relationship building conferences, and fundraisers. We thrive to bridge the gap and connect young adults to each other through our faith and culture. Jola and Jumoke also has an e-board that consists of our president, Irvin Moba, who's joining us today, our vice president, Funke Aliu, who is also on the call, our event coordinators, social media coordinators, treasurer, Bible study coordinator, prayer line coordinator, and outreach coordinator. All right, so that being said, I'm going to jump straight into the bios as well. So first of all, we have Damola Adamolekun, who is a Nigerian-American executive known for leading major turnarounds in the restaurant and hospitality industries. A graduate of Brown University and Harvard Business School, he began his career at Goldman Sachs and later worked in private equity at TPG Capital and Paulson & Co. After pitching the acquisition of P.F. Chang's to Paulson & Co., Damola joined P.F. Chang's leadership team as Chief Strategy Officer and subsequently was tapped as the company's first Black CEO. Under his leadership, Damola has been credited for successful transformation strategy that has led to a 37% increase in annual revenue as well as a $1 billion annual revenue. In 2024, he was appointed CEO of Red Lobster and tasked with reviving the brand following not his, but the company's bankruptcy. Recognized as one of Fortune's world's powerful leaders for 2024, Adamolekun is also a managing partner at Paulson & Company, as well as an operating partner at Garnett Station Partners, and serves on multiple boards across the food and hospitality sector. I also want to introduce our MC for today, Emcee Misi Fawole. So Damisi is a proud member of the Jola and Jumoke organization for young adult professionals and is one of the leaders for our newly established Jola and Jumoke Platinum community. She holds a bachelor's in journalism from the University of Georgia and a master's in leadership and organizational performance from Vanderbilt University. She currently works as a career coach with Merit America, where she supports young adults in low-wage work with the hopes of transitioning to family-sustaining careers through entering the tech field. In 2024, Damisi officially launched her MC business and works on weekends. And on weekends, when she's not out of town or spending time with family, you'll find her hosting a virtual or in-person event as an MC. She thrives in meeting new people and curating meaningful discussions through asking thoughtful questions. And more than anything, she desires for individuals to feel welcomed, valued, and included in the spaces which they find themselves. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to our one and only Emcee Misi to take it up from here and get the conversation going with Damola. Thank
Okay.
you.
Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
We got
ma'am.
to do the typical Zoom. Can everybody hear? Okay, well, hello everyone. And what y'all probably don't know is when I went to school for journalism, my goal was to become the next Oprah. And so this is the closest to being Oprah I've ever been in my life. So this is a dream actualized, and I feel very privileged to be in this position. So thank you all for the opportunity, and thank you, Damola, for this opportunity. It is great to see you, and thank you for agreeing to spend some time with us today and sharing a little bit of your story. A lot of us here, I don't know if you can tell from the names, a lot of us here are Nigerian, Nigerian American, navigating the world that is, work and life. And we see ourselves in you. And so we are excited to learn from you today. And when I was preparing for this, I had to look up what a fireside chat was. I created the flyer and everything, but I was like, what exactly am I facilitating today? So I looked up what fireside chat is, and it is an informal conversation, usually featuring a moderator and one or two speakers that allows for a more personal and relaxed exchange of ideas and experiences than a traditional speech. And I was like, oh, not me hitting the nail on the head. Like, this is exactly what we are hoping for today. So for the next 45 minutes or so, we can do just that. And I have my tea. I saw you sipping something earlier, Damola. I hope y'all have your tea, whatever it is that can make you feel relaxed for this conversation. But yeah, I'm feeling excited. Damola, how are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I think that's the best introduction I've ever received. So, Ibuko, I don't think I can speak anymore without having you there with me to give such an introduction. That was wonderful. So, thank you for that.
Well,
Also, I see my mom in the photo somewhere, so let me give her a shout out. Mom's here somewhere. I lost her in the
Yeah,
scrolling,
spotlight Nancy
but
Wura, please.
until, my mom my mom organized this. So, hello, I see her. Um,
Wait,
uh,
let's let mom say. You want mom to say something, Damola?
yeah, she can say something. Mom, you can unmute.
Okay.
Mom, you're unmuted.
Uh-oh, hold on. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry.
Mom, you're muted
No,
again.
Auntie, you have to unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, just click the microphone and see.
We can't hear you, Ma.
Okay, give me 1 minute.
No,
You're
we
good
can hear
now.
you now.
Now you can hear me. Okay, I'm sorry. I already thought I was unmuted. I probably went ahead and muted. I said I was just saying I'm so glad this is happening. I had to come to the UK this morning, so I may look tired, but I made sure I stayed up so I can be here. And I'm so excited to be here. And I know it's going to be a wonderful section. Thank you, everybody.
Beautiful.
Good.
Thank you so much. Yeah, some people ask me like, "Oh, how did you set this up? How did you pull this off?" It wasn't me, oh, it was Wura and her connection with Praying Mother. She connected us, so that's how this happened. I cannot take credit. So thank you so much for helping this happen. Well, we can get right
Good.
into the questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, we've got a professional journalist, so fire away. We've got Oprah in the building. So whatever
Thank
you want to
you.
talk about.
Okay, cool. So I want a glimpse into your journey and how you got to where you are now. So think upbringing, think culture, think parents, school, all the things. How how was that and how did that lead to where you are today, CEO of Red Lobster and all the things?
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent starting question. I think that you spend your whole lives becoming the person that you are, and it all starts early. A lot of it is driven by how you're raised. And a lot of it is driven by the culture that you're raised in. So I think those are probably the two most foundationally important elements of who I am and who we are as people. So in terms of who you're raised by, I'm fortunate to have two wonderful parents. My mom's here, my dad's as well, and we were raised to be high achievers, to do the best in everything that we do, and to excel, among other things. So that's part of it. And then more broadly, I think a lot of, I'm Yoruba. I think there's a mix here, but a lot of Nigerian culture in general, and certainly Yoruba culture is based around some very good elements of achievement and education and excellence and we take a lot of pride in the things we do, and I think that's an important foundation to be raised with. So credit to my family and credit to the place that I'm lucky to have been born. You know, I was born in Ife, in Nigeria, and I'm fortunate to be Yoruba, and I'm fortunate to be Nigerian.
I know that's right. You're a real Niger man. I did not know you were born in Nigeria. That is amazing. And yes, I can definitely resonate with just the spirit of excellence, spirit of high achievement that we've pretty much all experienced in our upbringing. So going off of that, was there ever any pressure when it came to what you were going to be or what you were going to do in your life? Was there ever any pressure to get into those typical professions that we hear about all the time? Doctor, lawyer, engineer, all the rest of them? Because you took a little bit of a different path.
Yeah, not really for me. My dad's a doctor, so we have a doctor in the family. But you know, you gotta have a doctor, lawyer, and an engineer. Somebody has to do it. But my dad's a doctor, so we got that checked. Um, Now, for me, it was more just there wasn't much pressure in terms of what I would choose, but there was an expectation that whatever I chose, I'd try to be the best at it, and that's true for my siblings as well, right? So it was more so, go towards what you're attracted to and choose your interests, but whatever it is that you do, we'll try to be the best at what you do, right? That was always the message. So
For
I've
sure.
done different things, if it was whether it's grades in high school or sports, to college, to whatever I've done, I've just carried that mindset and found what I'm interested in, found my own passions, and it's important to like what you do. So you're more likely to be successful if you enjoy what you work on every day. So it's good to find your own path. Just aim to be the best.
I love that. Yeah, that is a great point. I mean, I feel like today we're all really concerned about money, especially just the way the economy is going and life in general. We're all kind of in this like scarcity mindset. We're like, okay, how can we make it so that we are making the most money? We can sustain ourselves because it just feels like inflation is getting up and everything is happening. So I love the fact that you emphasize like still do what you love and you got to where you are today by doing what you love, not just from chasing money. So I guess a good
Money
follow-up
is
question for
important. I'm not trying to act like it's not. Money is important. So it's true that like you want to do so, look, it's easy if the thing you like makes money. That's the easiest thing. But that's not always going to be the case, of course. But what I'm saying is that if you are choosing a career path, like I think about it logically in terms of the life you want to build for sure. I wouldn't ignore that. But at the same time, you're more likely to make more money if you like what you do because you'll be better at it. That's also true, right? So you have to kind of think about it in both ways, right? You can't do something you hate because you won't put any effort in and you won't be the best. And even if your goal is to make
Mm,
money, you won't because you won't be a performer, right?
yeah,
So it's not simple, but you have to balance the realities of the world. I consider myself a realist, so you can't ignore the things you need to
right.
do to get by in the world. But at the same time, recognize that put yourself in the position to do the best you can, and part of that is, enjoying or at least either enjoying the job you do or enjoying what it creates for you. Or like something has to get you out of bed every morning, right? And you need to make sure
Yeah.
that you have that.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Money is definitely important. And I love what I'm seeing in the chat. I've been seeing emoji reactions. So y'all keep it up. And I hope y'all have your notebooks because I can already tell there's going to be a lot of gems dropped today and you don't want to miss them. So definitely take your notes. But going off of that, just enjoying what you do, what would you say is your favorite part of your job currently? What do you enjoy the most in what you do?
A couple of things. I think number one, naturally I'm a problem solver. I'm like the kid that always liked strategy games and puzzles and things like that. So business is like a big strategy game to me. Like it's a complicated puzzle of a lot of different moving pieces, and I enjoy that challenge of trying to solve it and figure it out, right? So the actual running of a business is like a big, complicated chess match in a way, right? And I enjoy that sort of thinking. And then also it's people oriented, right? Everything we do is around people. The teams that work for us, the people in the restaurants, the people in the headquarters. It's a lot of people management, motivation, communication, and I enjoy that side of it too, right? So those are the key things. And then it changes every day too. It's dynamic, right? Like the problems you have today aren't the same problems as you'll have next week or next month or next year. So it's always it always feels different, which I enjoy.
Nice. You don't want to live the same life every day. You need the switch up.
Yeah, I like new challenges. Now, there's a big part of what you do that depends on how you are too, how you're wired, right? Like, so I think, these are all things that are true for me, but everybody's different. But for me, I like a new challenge. I like strategic thinking. I like people management. I like being able to communicate, right? So that all kind of works well with what I do.
Okay, makes sense. So we've been talking about your business, what you enjoy about it. So let's go in that same vein. What does a typical day look like for the CEO of Red Lobster? Like, take us into your day to day.
Yeah, it's a lot of meetings at the end of the day. My calendar ended up being full of meetings. Each meeting's about a different thing or trying to achieve a different thing or communicate a different thing. So the actual content is a lot different, but you'll find that businesses are just rooms full of people making decisions and having conversations and engaging in dialogue, right? Any business comes down to that most of the time, right? So there's a lot of that. I'd say I try to spend as much time as I can out in the restaurants. So going out to visit the restaurants, spend time with the field, see what's going on, hear from them, what's working, what's not working. So I end up traveling quite a bit. And then, I've been doing a lot more sort of press facing stuff, right? So interviews, speaking to
Yeah.
journalists, communicating the message, getting the word out about what we're doing. So that ends up being a big chunk of it too.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like you are very busy. And so once again, just thank you for taking the time. We put another meeting on your calendar, but hopefully this is energizing for you and people
It's
are
good.
learning a
We got
lot.
the
So
we got the JnJ house here. How many people do we have on here?
looks like
See a lot of
126.
That's cool. All right,
Yeah.
good. And
Okay. So
Jola and Jumoke, that's Jack and Jill. You guys made the Nigerian Jack and Jill. Is that accurate?
yeah, wait, you knew that
I
without it
just
being
looked at it now. I'm just putting it together. Is that
oh,
right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
So,
cool. Is
so
that is that the idea?
to some extent, yes. That was to
Nigerian
some
Jack and
extent
Jill. That's
the
funny.
original play on words, but
I
it's
like
a
it.
little bit different in the sense that it's meant to be a Yoruba Christian group that fosters those relationships for young adults throughout the diaspora.
That's good, man. Nice work.
so as that, like you are a Nigerian American, you are, a Black CEO in this space. Do you feel any like how is it being a person from the Nigerian community who's so out there doing all this press, representing this company? Do you feel like you are representing for the Nigerian people, or do you feel like, oh, it's not too much pressure? I'm just here doing my thing. Do you feel a responsibility, I guess, to give back or represent Nigeria in a specific light?
I'm definitely representing the Nigerian community. Even before people meet me, my name is so Nigerian, there's no mistaking.
Right.
There's no mistaking my identity. So, that is what it is. I don't let it, it's not pressure though.
Okay, that's
Um,
good.
I think that the best thing I can do for myself, my family, for Nigerians, for Black Americans, the best thing I can do for everybody is just to be great and do well. So it doesn't change what I need to do.
I love
So I
that.
don't really think about it too much, but I recognize it and I think it's good and I'm glad people are inspired by it. But it doesn't change what I need to do. I just need to, succeed. So it's all good.
You sound very focused. I know that it definitely looks good when we see somebody with a name like ours, real long, real complex to Americans. And we see you in such a high position. Like I said, we see ourselves in you. So it's very encouraging to see. I know, like working in the career space as a career coach, we hear a lot about like resume bias and name bias and things that come in. So I can just imagine that, like, or I hope you can imagine that you are definitely inspiring, helping us out who are coming after you. So I'm
Good.
glad that you
I'm
don't feel
glad.
pressure, but you're doing a great job.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. So what mindset shift made the biggest difference in how you moved through high level rooms and opportunities? You kind of sound like you don't think too much, you just do what you got to do and get out of there. But like, what do you think you've had to adopt as a mindset in order for you to succeed in these rooms?
I think there's when you start your career, you're not going to know too much, right? it doesn't matter what you do, but when you start, you're just not going to know too much. If you graduate college, pick a career, it doesn't matter. You're going to be the youngest person, the newest person in the room. So there's like a part of your career where you're just learning, and it's important to maximize that and just be as good as possible, which means like taking on as much responsibility as possible, sometimes putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, volunteering for hard things. So there's an early sort of mindset, which is just growth and learning and doing, and you learn by doing. So there's no other way. You have to be bold, right? You have to step up and take on things, and you have to do that early. And the sooner you do that, the better you'll be. Now, there's a point where you've learned enough where you are, you know as much, or you're as capable as anybody in the room, and you have to realize when that happens and own that too, right? And so once you are kind of leveled up, like then you need to be confident to lead and be confident to make decisions and offer your opinion. And it's not like a 1 second thing; it happens gradually, but you need to recognize that, and accelerate on that curve once you feel like you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Is there an element of fake it till you make it in there?
No, I just don't think anybody expects you to be that knowledgeable when you're 22. You don't have to fake it. Like nobody's expecting you. When I got to Goldman as an intern, nobody's expecting me to know more than I did. They knew I knew very little. I'm an intern,
Right, right,
right? So I don't even think you need to fake it. You just need to get better. You need to learn, right? They do expect you to not be the same a year from now as you are when you arrive. you know. So if you
right.
don't if you don't improve, that's on you. But so long as you improve, you don't really need to fake it. You just need to improve, and they'll see that, and everything's good.
I love that. I'm seeing a lot of claps, a lot of hearts. As a perfectionist, that's something I struggle with coming into a space, even though it's unrealistic. I still want to be really good. That's just how I am. So I
Yeah,
like
and
the fact,
like I said when we started, we're wired that way, which is a good thing. It's not a
yeah,
bad thing, right? So,
yeah,
it's a good cultural element that we have, and it's an advantage, I think, overall. You can put pressure on yourself, but so long as you don't let it, affect your mindset negatively, and you see it
right,
as a positive, you'll just be better.
right. Okay. Did you ever experience imposter syndrome? And if so, how did you handle it? Or what did it look
My
like?
mom will tell you I've been bold and confident since I was a baby. So I don't really, my mom will tell you when I was young, I'd be the kid that would go out there and do the things that, weren't supposed to do or weren't. When I didn't know how to swim, I was volunteering for the swim meet when I was in
Oh,
Zimbabwe.
wow.
So my personality is such that I lean forward.
I see.
But if you're not wired that way, then you need to develop it though. Because I don't see there's no benefit in life to being inconfident, and there's no benefit to like not believing in yourself. There's none. There's no benefit. So if it's not natural, then work on it. And if it is natural, good. Because I think you'll just get further if you're confident, right?
Wow. Wow. Yeah, this is good.
There's no
Um,
benefit, trust me. Like there's no benefit to sitting there and questioning yourself. It's natural. I'm not saying people don't do it, but there's no upside to it. So the sooner you can move past that, the better.
right. Don't stay in it for too long. Understand that it's natural, but we got to move out of that space as soon as we possibly can in order to move and grow in our respective areas. Thank
Yeah, that's
you.
right.
Okay. Um, we might have different misconceptions as people who are looking at you, watching these interviews, kind of seeing how you move. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions of somebody in your position?
Um, I think it's easy to there's a lot of difficult decisions that get made at my level, and sometimes there's kind of a lose-lose decision, or it's somebody's going to be negatively affected in either side. There's a lot of difficult decisions that get made, and I feel for it. So, as a maker of these decisions, I feel for the makers of these decisions because
Okay.
there's a lot of just things that you have to do that somebody's going to be unhappy with, right? Like that's just the nature of the game when you get to this point. So I think that I personally know I put a lot of thought into these decisions, and I know a lot of other CEOs and execs do as well. And so there's no I think it's what might be misunderstood is like I think it can be viewed as disconnected or not understanding the impact of your decisions when you're at this level. But I know I speak for myself, and I think a lot of other people, like you do very acutely are aware of the impact, and you just have to still take tough decisions sometimes. So I think that connection with like the result of your decisions is something that I feel, and I think a lot of execs in my position feel as well.
Humanizing the experience, like you know what people are going through and you are considering all of it in your decision making, but it might not please everybody, but you still got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. Well said. But
Thank you.
that was very very Oprah-esque. You took my long rambling answer and made it a soundbite. Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's as a coach, that's what I got to do too. So I'm trained and Anyway, so what do you think makes you, Damola, different from other CEOs that have played this role at Red Lobster or in just other CEOs in general? Obviously, you turned the company around when it was facing bankruptcy, and you have made other companies successful through being there. So what is it that you think makes you different? What's your secret sauce? Do you have
I think there's some personality stuff that is unique to me. I don't know if it's nature versus nurture or like upbringing versus how I'm wired naturally. It's difficult for me to suss that out. But I think there's some personality stuff that I found has been unique, at least,
Okay.
largely unique compared to the people I've been around for most of my life. So I think that's part of it. And then I also think that I'm closer to the culture than I think most people in my seat would be, right? Like I know what's going on the ground level a bit more because I'm partially because I'm younger, partially because I'm just closer to it. So you can see trends a little better. Like we launched these seafood boils and they went viral and a lot of people were surprised, but we knew that was going to do really well because we were just closer to what's going on and what people are saying and looking for. So I think that's an advantage. And then I think the rest of it is you work hard, you keep discipline, you kind of do the things you're supposed to. And a lot of people have that, but that is something where it's necessary to succeed.
Okay. And when you talked about personality at the beginning, is that kind of what you already stated as far as you're a go-getter, things don't really scare you, you take risks, or are there more aspects to your personality that you think help you in your position?
Yeah, that's what you said is a key part of it. I think also, strategic thinking is really important, like logical, rational, strategic thinking. And that comes naturally to me, but that's a thing where if it doesn't, you got to work on it because it's important to lead and it's important to manage in order to be able to, you have to be able to do that.
Right.
And then finally, I think I'd say communication. For me, I think and I speak, and it's like one thing. I don't have to spend too much time on it. And I've been pretty natural with that again for most of my life. But if you're not good at it, then you got to practice, right? You got to give speeches, you got to get in front of people and communicate and get used to that because it is an important part of leadership as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking about leadership, what has been the most surprising lesson about leadership that you have learned since stepping into your CEO role?
That's a great question. Most surprising?
Yeah.
I'd say that there's a lot of narrative management that you don't think about until you lead, but you need to manage or control the narrative of the business and how people are perceiving information and how they feel about the trajectory of the business. Like there's a lot of stuff you can do to affect that. And that ends up being important. And I just did a town hall this morning with the entire company, but I do these things because it's it's a good way to get information out and make sure that people kind of know what's going on and you have some good understanding of what the narrative is. I see a lot of information, but not everybody sees everything that I see, right? So you have to communicate it, you have to manage that and make sure that people are coming along with you and understand where things stand.
Okay. So you are almost a PR rep. You got to represent yourself, you got to represent the company, you got to understand what people are saying.
Yeah, you're right. But we have PR, but that's consumer facing. It's almost like internal PR. You need that too, and it's different, right?
Okay.
You have
Yeah.
there's management of how the consumer views you, there's management of how your team views you, and there's management of like both of those things in terms of what the narrative of the business are. And you need to be conscious about both.
Okay, got you. Internal PR. And working in leadership, I got my master's in leadership and got a certificate in leadership. I know there are a lot of different ways people define leadership. There are different leadership types. if you had to describe yourself as a leader using a word or a phrase, what kind of leader would you say you are? What's your style of leadership?
I'm a good strategic thinker that communicates well. So I bring people along with me into how I'm viewing the problem, how I'm viewing the situation, and I find it very effective. Right. So I'm very authentic because all I'm doing is trying to solve a problem, and I keep people close to how I'm thinking about things and what we need to do. Right. And that allows for dissent, because you're allowed to disagree with me because it's just a logical question. Right. It's a strategic question. Right. And I've analyzed the chessboard, and I think X, Y, and Z are the right things to do. And if somebody disagrees, it's perfectly good in that situation to speak up, because it's not about a person, it's about an idea. Right. And then it allows, I think, people to come along, understand how I'm viewing the world, agree with me, or even if they disagree, they can explain that, and then we can have a conversation. So I lead with strategy, really, and communication, right? I think that's the most important elements to how I manage.
Okay. Strategy and communication. That sounds like a good combo. Okay, so people have questions about Red Lobster. I think there's curiosity and there's just like, okay, give us the tea. But I guess with Red Lobster, how do you balance innovation with tradition in a brand like Red Lobster that's so deeply rooted and has such a loyal customer base? How do you balance innovation with the tradition?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to do both, and you have to balance it. There's no magic to it. You just have to watch you just have to be careful with your decisions. Like, it'd be a mistake on one hand to take away everything that people loved, right? Like the
Right.
Cheddar Bay biscuits are a favorite, and they have been forever. Like, I'm not interested in changing that, because I want to keep that tradition and keep something that the customers have loved for a long time. But then you innovate with something like the seafood boils, right? And that's new. It's a different customer, but it doesn't take away from the traditional experience, but it brings something new to the table, right? So it's balancing, the existing
Yeah.
and being intelligent about where and how you innovate, where and try to make sure they don't clash, right? Because the problem is if they start to clash, where you do something for the new people that upsets the old people, or you do something
Right.
for the old people that pushes away the new people. So there's the easiest wins are things you can do for either camp that don't clash, and then when they do clash, you have to be careful and make those decisions.
I'm hearing that chess game like you're talking about. That's it's kind of a puzzle piece and you just got to figure out how it all fits.
Exactly. Like, and you
Okay.
have to understand your consumer. I do a lot of data analytics to understand who exactly our guest is. Who's
Right.
our old guest? Who's our new guest? What's the demographic? What do they order? And when you understand these things, then you can kind of see where the conflicts can come, and get ahead of it, so you don't make mistakes.
Okay. Are there any technologies Red Lobster is exploring to optimize the customer experience, like AI, automation, data personalization?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of that, but the most important thing I've done recently was that Google Pay and Apple Pay. People were really excited about that.
That
Which
just got added recently?
we're doing it now, so it's being added now. But by the end of the year, all the restaurants will have it. Now it seems small, but we had to change out the payment systems to do that. And there was other reasons to do it. They weren't working the way I wanted them to, but that's one of the benefits is the new payment systems take Google Pay and Apple Pay, and you wouldn't believe how
Right.
excited the restaurants are about that. That wasn't the reason I did it, but that's going to be probably the biggest benefit.
Yeah. No,
They're
I
more
would
excited
believe
about
it.
that.
I would
Yeah,
believe it because that
yeah.
excites me as well. Okay.
So there's stuff
Thank you
like
for
that, and
doing that.
then in terms of like, well, you said automation or AI, was that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's AI is going to be important in managing the business, but more so in terms of like intelligence around the decision making. So, like, for example, how do we know how many people to staff in a restaurant or how much product to order? It's because we forecast what sales are going to be, right, for
Right.
next week. How many people are going to come into the based And what's that based off? It's based on how many people came the same week last year. How much is it growing? What's the weather going to be like? Is there a special event? When's the holiday fall? Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into projecting what your sales are going to be. And we do that manually or in the spreadsheets, but teams do that. And ultimately, AI can help with that, right? Because AI can take all this
Yeah.
information and information you maybe haven't even considered and come up with a better sales forecast, which will help you get the right number of people in the restaurants and get the right amount of product ordered, et cetera. So AI is going to be game changing, but I see it more as like an intelligence tool right now than a direct
Mm-hmm.
customer experience tool. Now automation like robotics, we're not there yet, but some restaurants are playing around with it. Chipotle and McDonald's and some others are doing like robotic chefs basically. But they make a simple product. It's a salad, so it's easier to do something. It's easier to have a robot learn that. But eventually,
Gotcha.
could that be more of the experience? Maybe. Probably. Though I
Okay.
think that's a little bit further away.
Okay. What is your favorite thing on the menu?
I'm Maryland raised, so it's got to be the crab, right?
Okay,
It's got to be
DMV.
crab. Now we've got crab in the seafood boil. So I'll go with a Mariner seafood boil, extra spicy. I'll mix the Old Bay and the Cajun butter. Let's go with that.
Okay. Y'all put y'all favorite Red
Old Bay's
Lobster meal in
Maryland
the
too.
chat.
Any DMV people will know that.
I know we have DMV in the chat. Um, how often do you eat Red Lobster?
They said no love for the Cheddar Bay biscuits. Cheddar Bay biscuits isn't a meal you
Uh-uh.
order. We give that to every table. So of course the Cheddar Bay biscuits, but that's a given. It's like saying, it's the appetite. You get that before you order. So yeah, Cheddar Bay biscuits for sure as well.
How often do you eat Red Lobster? I'm just curious. Like once a week, like once a month, twice a
Yeah, I mean
day?
between like work dinners and stuff and testing it out, maybe a couple times a week, once or twice a week on average.
You ever get tired of it?
No, actually, I love seafood, so not so much. But there's different things to order. Do lobster one day, crab one day, salmon another day, mahi mahi. We switch it up.
That's very
Lobster
true.
pappardelle, it's good.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask a
Crispy
couple,
dragon
maybe,
shrimp. Somebody said crispy dragon shrimp. That's a good one
yeah.
too. Yep, that's a true fan right there. They're going in the they're
That's
going in the
deep in the menu.
Rolodex. That's good.
Is there anything that you wish you knew before getting into your current position? I know you're big on learning as you go, but is there anything that you were like, man, that would have been really nice to know before I got here?
There's a lot of history with a brand like this that it's hard to know all of it, and you learn when you get here. But there's a lot of history as to why things are the way they are and why certain decisions were made and how the brand reacts to certain things. And you learn a lot of like brand specific history. It's a 60-year-old company, so it's done a lot of things and tried a lot of things. And you learn a lot of that when you get here. Which is all, of course, if I could download an encyclopedia of everything that's ever done and all the decisions that have been made and why and how it all worked out, that'd be helpful. But you don't
Right.
get that. So you get that when you get to the company and you learn as you go.
Okay. Makes sense. We're going to move on to some questions about advice. We had our members submit some questions like over a month ago, and so we have some good ones about advice.
All right.
So first, what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur who doesn't know where to start as far as business strategy and planning is concerned?
Entrepreneur, as in you have your own business? Entrepreneurs
Yes,
in what? Okay.
you're
And
starting your own business.
and business strategy and planning?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the plan really when you start a business is to get some customers, get people to like what you sell. That's the only real plan. You don't have to overcomplicate it when you're young as a business. You just need product market fit, right? So whatever it is you're doing, you need to figure out if it's the right thing for the customer, if the customer likes it, if not, why, and how do you improve it. So I would just be 100% focused on the customer at first and getting that right. And then once you get that right, then you can start thinking about how you scale and what you need and how you hire and all that fun stuff. But the first thing is, do you have something that works and how quickly can you figure that out?
So go around the mall with the mic and a camera and
What
start interviewing
Yeah, what are
people.
you selling? What are you selling? Depending what you're selling, I mean, totally, that could be it, right? But depending what you're selling, it could be all online. It could be, on social media. It could be just putting up a website, getting the link out and seeing if people buy it. Like it could be different things, but it's better if you start a company to learn quickly whether people like it or not.
Right,
Do you know what I'm saying? So that
right.
should be your focus first, is like, is this a good product? Is there a market for this? Do people like it? And if not, how do I improve that? Or if so, how do I scale up? Because people love it, right? So
Mhm.
it's just that consumer product question is the only thing you really need to think about when you start. And then depending on how that goes, then you can figure out what's next.
Got you. No, that's good because I have a lot of business ideas myself. I just have a whole bunch of like Google Docs and stuff that are open and so much like planning and stuff that I want to do, but I should probably figure out,
That's why
if
I
it's going to
say
be
I say it's
successful first.
99% of the time that the right decision is just to move, just to do something, right? Like people overplan too much. Like if you have a business idea, the best thing to do is to test it. Just do it. right? Either make a prototype or build the website or whatever it is, and just see, right? Otherwise, you'll just be paralyzed. You'll never get it done. So it's action wins, speed wins,
Action
right?
wins. Hashtag action wins. Hashtag action wins in the chat. That was good.
Yeah, it's true.
Thank you. Okay, we have about 10 more minutes, so I'm going to try to manage these questions. We have some coming in through the chat, but we have a couple more advice ones. So, and this is coming from somebody who has a business in the African food space. So, what do you think is the probability of building a successful billion-dollar business based on African food in 2025? And how would you approach that endeavor?
Restaurants or consumer product. Okay, let's
Both.
scale
Both
up. Let's scale
and.
up. So, look, I love Nigerian food more than anybody, but it hasn't reached the same like national cachet as like Italian or French or something like that, right? Just as a cuisine type. Could it? It's good enough to, in my opinion. Now, but you'd have to create that, right? Like you'd have to create if you want to build like a multi-billion-dollar brand, then everybody needs to buy it, or everybody needs to be a potential customer, right? You need a big pool of customers to get that big. So that's the first thing is there's a marketing element that's going to be important, right? Make everybody want African food. Now, there's Nigerian restaurants open in New York or LA, and they do really well, right? Like there'll be a Nigerian restaurant that pops off in New York or LA. So it can be a market, but those, these are like very trendy cities,
Niche.
and
Yeah.
exactly. So is it possible? Absolutely. But you just have to figure out how you get a lot of people who've never tried Nigerian food to try it and love it and become customers, right? Which it's just, again, the food is good enough that can happen. You just need to solve that.
Okay. So as far as probability, you don't want to give us a number or percentage. You just think,
Well, that's
there's
why I was asking what type of food, how big a market. Like if you're trying to be a billion-dollar brand, maybe the easiest way to do it is like CPG, like a product you sell in retail, right? That is, you choose a product that's more appealing to the most people from Nigerian culture, and you sell it, you like package it and sell it that way. That's one way to grow without having to open If you're opening restaurants and finding space, and to get to a billion-dollar restaurant is hard. PF Chang's is $1 billion. That's how big you got to be.
right.
So that's harder to do, not impossible, but that'll take a long time and it's a lot harder. But if you sell a product that takes off and you sell it through Walmart or something like that, and you can get to $1 billion quicker that way, probably, right?
Okay. Thank you. Next advice question. What is your advice to young, ambitious professionals that want to pitch a novel idea to senior leadership in their organization, but aren't sure how to secure buy-in? For example, how did you meet John Paulson and get the opportunity to pitch? So it's a lot in that, but
Yeah. Well, I met John when I was at Harvard Business School, and we went to work. He went to HBS, and he only hires from there. And I went to New York. First of all, I was president of the investment club at Harvard. So like the best way to get in front of people is to be excellent at the thing you're doing before, so you're in a position to meet interesting people. Because I would have never met John if I wasn't president of the Harvard Investment Club, because that's how that group took a trip to New York, and that's how I got to meet John one-on-one. And then I pitched myself. I applied for the job, and you got to meet everybody there, and got that job, right? So, but if I wasn't at Harvard, if I wasn't president of the Harvard Investment Club, like that might not have happened, right? So the things I did before were probably more important than whatever I'm about to say now. The things that got me to that position,
got
right?
you.
And then in terms of like an actual idea within an organization that you're already an employee of or you work for, then that's about building trust, number one. If you've done excellent work for the whole time you've been there and you killed it and everybody thinks you're excellent, then they're going to listen to your idea. You don't have to convince them that much. Like everything else you've done has been great. And you come with an idea, like I've got this great idea. They're gonna be like, cool, what is it? Nobody's gonna be resistant towards you pitching an idea if your reputation is good, right? So building a good reputation is the first thing you should do. And then in terms of like how you actually do it, I mean, that depends on the idea and the person you're dealing with, but you should know who the decision maker is and what the best way to reach them is, right? Like for me, I'd accept an email or somebody popping into my office and say, I have this really good idea. I'd say, what? and then they'd tell me, and if it sounds good, we'd set a meeting and we can do it, right? Like that's, that's straightforward. But somebody else might need a long, detailed email with all the different pieces of it and a presentation. And so you got to know who you're asking and what their style is.
Gotcha.
And if you build trust, then you should be able to leverage that.
Okay. You're giving that you are a CEO with an open door policy. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
We'd love to see it.
The thing is, I don't know why you wouldn't be. I mean, look, if the goal is to know what's going on in your company, it's easier if people come tell you. If that's the
true.
goal, if
You don't
you're
want to
not trying
find
to know
out
what's
on the
going on in your
news.
own company, then sure, shut the door and put your headphones in. But if you're trying to understand what's going on, it's easier if people talk to you, I think. So I think that's the best way to be.
Okay. All right. So we have a couple of audience questions in our last 5 minutes. And so I am, I have the mic, so I get to pick and choose. I like this one. How do you manage the public scrutiny, either concerning you or the company? Do you try to stay unaware, or are you able to engage discourse in a healthy way?
I try to stay aware, but I try not to engage myself. Because trying to engage with social media comments, I mean, I'll drive myself, I'll spend all day doing it and I'll drive myself nuts. So it's not important that I engage. It is important that I know what people are
Right.
saying. So either I read it myself or the team will put a report together about what the general kind of gist is, or we'll get summaries about like, all the articles that got written and what they're talking about, et cetera. So I want to be aware, but I'm not trying to be on my phone like, commenting back like Kevin Durant or something, right? Like I don't need to be doing that. So
Okay.
that was a couple people got that. KD will respond to comments himself all day, and he's notorious for that. But I don't need to be doing that. So for me, it's like awareness is good. Engagement, probably not. I don't really need to engage myself, right? So,
Okay.
but it's good to know what's going on. You don't want to be. There's no reason to not be informed to protect your ego or your. That's not a good trade. To not be
Okay.
informed in
Right.
order to protect your ego is a bad trade. So
Right.
you should be
Ignorance is not
informed.
bliss.
Yeah, it's gonna, then you're a bit too sensitive if that's the case, right? Like if it's gonna hurt you so badly that you can't even read it to the point you don't even want to know what's going on with your business, then it's affecting you too much, right? But also you don't want to spend all day, chopping it up on Instagram either. So there's a balance.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. What role can mentoring play in career development?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's good to, like I said, you're trying to learn, especially when you're young. So a mentor is a good place to learn from, I think, especially if they do something you want to do or they do something you do now, then, you know, learning from them is good. Uh, you have to be careful with mentorship. Like it's good overall, but you have to be careful because nobody knows you better than you, and nobody knows your situation better than you. So you can't outsource decision making for your own career, right? You can't, there's no like, oh, my mentor told me to do this, so I did it and it didn't work, and now, I'm not happy,
Right.
right? So you have to own your career and you have to own your decisions, but it's fine to get advice and it's fine to listen to people that know what they're talking about, right? And
Yeah.
then ultimately it's just inputs, right? It's just information. And then you take it and make a decision. Now the other side is mentors can be helpful if they feel like ownership over your career, right? So I just said you don't have to do
Okay.
everything they say, but you also want them to feel like you're listening to them
Right.
and give them credit when you do well, so they feel like they're a part of it. So
Right.
that way, down the line, they feel more inclined to help you, right? If you need help.
Right.
So it's two
Makes
ways. It's
sense.
what you learn, and it's the relationship that could be helpful down the line.
Okay. I like what you said about the fact that we all have agency. So we have inputs and we can take things into consideration, but we are the authors of our own destiny. So we decide what we do with the information that we receive, the mentorship we receive. I appreciate that.
Yeah, my first ever internship when I was a sophomore at Brown, I had two offers, and I chose the wrong one based on something somebody told me. I didn't really know, but they gave me like bad advice, and I remember being like, I didn't know, and it wasn't bad advice. It was bad advice for me. It was good advice for them, right?
Okay.
But you learn that like everybody's different, and so it's good to get information, but you have to make your own decisions. And if you make a bad decision because you were listening to somebody that didn't understand your situation, then that's a mistake.
And you only have yourself to blame. That's what I'm hearing.
You only have yourself to blame. That is correct.
No nonsense. Okay. So thank you so much for that. I think we have time for one more question. We are a faith-based organization, as you know. So we have a question of how much of your success can you attribute to God? How does your faith intersect with your leadership style, if at all?
Yeah, look, I think I was raised in a faith-based household. My mom's on the line.
Praying
Dr.
mother.
Bolanle and Wura Adamolekun took us to the church every Sunday. So look, I think faith is an important aspect of how I've developed and my moral code and my values and how I view the world. So it's ultimately important in that way. And you know, it's important, I think, when you grow up in faith, you learn to leave things to God, right? Which is, I think, one way of saying, like, you know, you don't overstress. Things happen as they're meant to, and you do the best you can, and you trust the rest, right? So I think it's a good, you know, I'm glad I was raised in the church, and I think it's a very helpful mentality and mindset to have.
Thank you. Yeah, it seems like it helps with the peace and the mental just stability that you have, because
Yeah, that's right.
being in a
That's
position
right.
like yours, you have all this pressure and stuff, but if you just let it go, let God kind of, that sounds like
Exactly.
it's very helpful in someone in your position.
Exactly.
Okay, wonderful. Well, do you have anything else that you have not shared that you want these Nigerians, Nigerian Americans, whoever's on the line to know before we conclude today?
Yeah, I think you know, you get to meet a lot of people from a lot of different places. I think we have a unique culture, and it's a very powerful one. I think, like I said to start, I think there's a lot of benefits to how we are and how we, you know, are raised. And so there's, you know, we're prideful people, so I don't think there's any shortage of pride. But take
Right.
pride in you know who we are and how we achieve and how we win and keep focused on progressing and advancing the cause. So it's been a good chat. Excellent questions. Thank you for that.
Thank
And
you. Yes.
I wish everybody the best. Best of luck in everything you guys are doing.
Thank you so much, Damola. Thank you for being here, giving us your time. Thank you for those of you who have been here, just putting all the questions and love in the chat. Thank you for the people who submitted questions beforehand to help this be a robust interview. And if the questions weren't answered, you got to find time to pop your head into Damola's office and ask him on your own time. But right now, I will pass things over to Hannah, who is on our exec board for JnJ Platinum, and she is going to give us our closing thoughts. Thank you,
Yes.
Damola.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. Thank you all so much for joining us for this incredible discussion with Red Lobster CEO, Mr. Damola Adamolekun. It's so refreshing to see an individual who has worked so hard to carve out his legacy, give back to his community through intentional passion and focused purpose. We're forever grateful for your servitude and wisdom as a humble career professional, breaking barriers in several different industries. I would also love to thank our dear Praying Mothers USA and Praying Fathers Network for representing as the blueprint and paving the way, especially by raising incredible adults who excel in their God-given and God-driven purpose to be the current and future innovative leaders of the world. As Ibuku mentioned earlier, established in 2012, Jola and Jumoke is a group of young adults from ages 16 to 35 who fellowship together on Saturday mornings at 9:30 a.m. to pray for one another, our families, and our academic/professional journeys. JnJ empowers over 500 members from all over the US and abroad who not only seek to bond with like-minded individuals, but to also gain perspective from our different networks and individual experiences as young Nigerian Americans. JnJ has hosted and provided in-person and virtual events such as Friendsgiving, spring retreats, Jollof masterclass mixers, career workshops like this, scholarships, and fundraisers. JnJ and JnJ Platinum thrive to bridge the gap and connect young adults to each other through our faith and culture. So if you would like to gain more information or to join, please email jnjplatinum@gmail.com, or you can DM Jola and Jumoke on Instagram. Final thanks to the JnJ Platinum Committee Board, especially Ibuku and Damisi. We have been planning this since February, and it's been beautiful to see this dream come to fruition. We're just getting started, everyone. So we have many more great things to come. So please stay tuned. And with that, I will close us out in a quick prayer. Dear Lord, I thank you so much for gathering us here today to experience your love, wisdom, and grace through such wise individuals. I pray that as we've been blessed, you will bless every hand that's contributed to and attended this event. I pray that as everyone goes forward in their careers and in their faith, we will be used as vessels to spread your glory. The rest of today, the rest of this week, the rest of this month, and this year will be transformative for our destiny. In Jesus' mighty name we pray, amen. Thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you. I just did something crazy. I'm allowing y'all to unmute. So if y'all just want to give Damola 1-2 words of encouragement, go ahead and do it.
Great
No one
job,
playing with me.
Damola.
Thank
God
you.
bless you,
Thank
Damola.
you.
Thank you. God bless
Thank
you.
you.